Hi everyone. I just wanted to share with you a quick update as far as I can interpret the energy and what's happening at the moment. To also wish you all a happy equinox, whether that be a autumn or a spring equinox that you're coming into. Ironically enough, in Australia, equinox hit right at 3:33 this morning, which I thought was interesting, considering in one of the last videos I did, I was talking about the relevance of the 12th and the 3. I don't know, just found it interesting. If you remember on Friday afternoon, I was talking about feeling the pressure building and then pulses of energy. I did have one of those brief moments of doubt that I think we can all relate to along this path, where on the weekend I just thought, am I just fishing here? Am I having these physical and emotional things that happen and now I'm just looking to pin it on something instead of being instead of being a victim to circumstance, we're now a victim to celestial powers. And then I thought, no, that's not right. It was just one of those brief moments where I just sort of wondered, have I started believing in something more than what it actually is. But then my real reality, came to the fore, and I realized that no, there is something very special happening at the moment, and it all is interlinked. So but part of the reason I was doubting was, again, knowing that things were coming, nothing showing up. To be honest, I probably thought that the KP index was going to be at least inactive by now, and it's not. But the Schumann has been reflecting that energy building, and then that being released in these little pulsing spikes. So if you've had a look at the last few days, you will see them as these very thin lines that go all the way down. And if you look carefully, the color is starting to change in them. From what I can gather at the moment, in the way I'm feeling and reading things, is we're still in a bit of a purge process. I'm starting to look at the Schumann very differently, and noticing that it usually takes several hours to days before what I'm feeling shows up on it. So I need to learn to not be panicking every time I feel something, but I can't validate it against something, is the message. And I think that's one applies to all of us. It's okay to trust. We don't need to have something to validate it against. It's good sometimes and fun, but we don't need it. So take a look at the Schumann spikes. What I've noticed is when the last few days we've had activity, and there has been white in it, but not the big whiteouts that we're used to seeing. There's a lot of orangey red energy coming up, which I believe is a pain purging. Like, obviously where we are in the cycle right now, we're always purging to some degree. Every time a higher energy comes in on a planetary and individual level, it will kind of enter the field and push out whatever the lowest of the vibrations is. And again, just sharing my perceptions of what's happening. So each time we go through this massive influx of energy, we'll see a lot of this reddy orange show up, because it's purging where there's deep density still being held. And so of course, as the micro to her macro, we're going to have those responses, and same things happen within us. So what I believe is happening at the moment, there's a lot of this purging going on, which is why there's these bursts of the white activity as well, kind of like, here are the light codes that are it's like the only way I can describe, as it comes in, it pushes it up as well. So it's oh god, I don't think I'm explaining this very well. You know what I'm trying to say, I think. It's a twofold process. So the energy comes in and the light is released at the same time as the density is released, if that makes sense. Otherwise we'd be walking around just feeling all this density that's being released. But we are getting the good stuff that goes with it. And if you look at those spikes, they're not the pure white, the very obvious ones. And I'll put photos up of the ones that I've managed to remember to capture. But if you look at the color as it's going down, it's almost like an indigo or a violet. It's not the white, it's not the reddy orange, it's different. And these, I believe, are even higher energies and coding being released in these pulses that are coming up. So while everything on the surface would appear to be what you would consider calm, there is a lot happening. So if you're feeling things, yeah, there's definitely things going on. I did a meditation before, and sorry, this is probably why I'm still in a bit of a vague state. Still not quite back in there yet. 2 concepts came up that I feel I'm supposed to talk about. The first one is how addictive tendencies, people think they're actions, but we can be just as addictive to the way we think about things. And like anything that we feed energy into, the more you feed it, the more it grows. And we get I guess I want to say chemical reaction, or some sort of reaction from feeding it that makes us want to perpetuate this cycle. We get something from it, whether it's just a validation that our beliefs are correct. So what I mean by that, and I wrote general notes, so excuse me looking down every now and again, there's still very much polarity in the way we navigate the world. Not all of us, well, I shouldn't say not everyone. I still experience it and find myself falling into judgment of this is this and that is that. And this polarized thinking and beliefs can happen on a more overt level or a very subtle level. So an overt example would be when you navigate the world by judging, well, this is good, this is bad. That's pure, that's evil, you know, this is the right path, that is the wrong path. It all comes down to polarity and judgment. And we've largely been conditioned to believe that that's how the world needs to be navigated, by you choose a path and you follow it, and basically all other paths are closed off to you in that choice. So what I'm feeling is that we all need to find the time to go very deep within and really look at what thought patterns we have, and they might be very, very, very deep ones that we don't even really realize that are running. But it's really our thoughts, and I know this may trigger some people, but really it's our thoughts that keep us in this perpetual state of suffering a lot of the time, and the way we're perceiving our reality, if you want to call it that. Where we're moving to, we don't need to hold on to these anymore. They're not serving us. We're moving away from polarity. We're moving away from judging even, and forming that just one has to be and something else is this, and it's labeling as well. We're moving away from polarity, judgment, and labeling, I think. And again, we've been taught that that's how to navigate the world, but and when we and the other thing it does is it makes us feel safe. So, that's a bad aspect of the world. I'll stay away from that. If I stay away from that, then I'm safe. Or I don't believe in that person's values, so if I stay away from that, then I'm safe. And it's a false sense of safety and security, unfortunately. What you've probably noticed in your own experiences so far is when our thought patterns begin to change, that's when our suffering starts to ease and we start experiencing things differently. Positive changes come. Change in itself, I guess we fear it a lot of the time, and we are resistant to it, again, cause of suffering. But what we're moving into, and what a lot of these brain activations have been, is how do I write it down? We're moving into a state of freedom, happiness, and positive changes occurring as a result of changing the way we think. These things can only be experienced when we start to realize the true power that our thoughts hold in how we experience our reality, or our life. I'm reluctant to say reality, because reality is subjective to the person viewing it and experiencing it. So it really, to sum it up in a nutshell, the more we feed energy into these thought patterns, and I said before, they can be overt, but they can be subtle as well. It can be those thoughts that I'm not enough, I'm disconnected from others, I'm alone, I'm not worthy. All of these things that we probably don't consider as subtle polarized energy, or even addiction, but it is. The more we think about it, the more we want to think about it almost. So yeah, the big takeout that I got from that whole concept is be very careful of what thought programs are running, and look at the ones that are causing you pain on any level, and then look at how we can change them to work more towards what we do truly want to create, and not what we don't. Primarily, we're thinking about what we don't want rather than what we are, is the message that comes. And not everyone, but just as a large percentage. The other theme that came up is nurturing, and the fact that this is a very two-sided, like anything, it's giving and receiving. Many people out there, it's coming up two ways. Either are very adept at nurturing others, but either don't have the resources or are resistant to giving themselves that same nurturing. But also others are experiencing it as a fear of dropping their walls to receive nurturing from others, because there is this huge fear that they're going to get hurt in the process. So neither of those work in our favor. I keep getting shown like a cup or a petrol tank. It's like two different analogies, and so many people are still trying to offer their cup for others to drink from, but it's empty. Or like the petrol tank, you're trying to use your energy to ferry other people around and get them to where they need to be, but you're doing it on an empty tank, and you're wondering why things aren't happening, or why you're sort of so drained and not going anywhere with it. So the really strong message is that this needs to change. Those that have fear of allowing themselves to be loved and nurtured need to allow that in, and those that are very good at giving it out need to start turning that energy back into their cup, filling yourself up first, because you can only truly be of service to another when your cup is full and they're drinking from the overflow. The cup is designed to be full for you, and then when there's so much that it's overflowing, that's when others can come and share from it, but not until that point. And so many of us are, we refill it just this little bit, and then it's like, oh, here, drink, before we've even taken a sip ourselves. So yeah, again, with that's a subtle form of polarity, because we believe it's okay to give to others, but for whatever reason, or whatever excuse we're making, we have resistance there for receiving it for ourselves, even from ourselves. I don't get that. I do, because I do that behavior sometimes too. I am learning to embrace that and acknowledge that my needs are just as important, if not more important, from the perspective that for me to be my best for other people, I need to be full myself. And there is no guilt around that. There should be no shame around that. There should be no excuses around that. For any of us, we should simply be accepting that our tank must be full before any real progress, self or helping others, can really be made. There is one more thing that came in right at the very end, and for me personally, it was a really beautiful message. When many people find out they have guides and these beautiful beings that are working with us, and have those that are working with them personally, I found there seems to be almost a sense of awe, or what I class as pedestaling, putting someone up on that pedestal. And what they're showing me is, once you accept and understand that you too are here in a service role to assist humanity, to assist, well, not just humanity, this whole process at the moment, you're just one of the ground crew. You realize that there's no need. Yes, there's a great respect and there's this strong connection there, but there's no longer this I'm here, you're up here. Do you know what I mean? Because the way they're showing me is we're all on the same team. We're all just sitting at various levels, placements in the system to perform what we need to do. And the other thing is, many times it's really funny that it's almost almost the opposite of what I was just saying. These beings that have not incarnated onto the earth plane are like fascinated and in awe of all of the stuff that we're doing as the grounded human, light points. And those that it's really funny, those that have had the human journey but are guiding in spirit this time round, their take is it's almost humorous. It's almost like, I remember that, oh my god, that was tough, it's just, anyway, that's how I receive it. It's but the main message is we're all here fulfilling a purpose, and it's easy to think that our contribution down here is minute at the moment, and it's not. It's making a huge difference. So from what I can tell, the cheer squad's just getting bigger and louder. We've got those that have had the earth experience, that understands very deeply what we're going through, and that support is coming in thick and strong. And then we've got the higher beings that we are a part of. So in essence, they are sharing the experience with us because we have essentially fragmented from them, but still retain that same awareness in that integrated form. Now I'm probably digressing way too much, so I'm going to just stop there, but just say, please go within and look to see where you may be. I'm not saying you are, but where you may be still holding on to beliefs and thoughts that are consistently running, that no longer have a purpose with where you are and where you're going, and that we can let go of now, so that new experiences and things to think about can come in, like freedom, like happiness, like adventure, all the good things in life. Please find a way to give that nurturing to yourself right now. It should have been there all along for all of us, but now it's becoming really, really crucial. And for those like myself that are sensitive, I feel it has a deeper message that if we don't start really nurturing ourselves, we're going to feel the physical effects even more strongly than what we have been. It's to help us process what we're running consistently, pretty much, with greater ease and comfort and joy of the whole experience, because sometimes the symptoms can get pretty intense, and that's where we struggle. So yes, I again have talked longer than I anticipated, but I felt that I needed to share those messages. 21st isn't over yet, so I'm still waiting to see if we get anything else. I know the sun has been quite active the last few days, not in terms of any significant events worth monitoring, but multiple, I believe they would be B and C class eruptions. So yeah, things are definitely not calm despite outward appearances. And as we know, they don't need to be this, red level geomagnetic storm to have effect on us. So yeah, things are happening. It's one of those times where they're a bit more subtle than the big right in your face events. But if you're also feeling these pulses of different energies moving through you, I feel that we're getting higher upgrades and at the same time releasing a lot of density at the moment. So yes, I'm not even sure entirely what that means, but they're just the words that are coming. So anyway, I sending you all big love, and if there's any noteworthy updates, I will jump back on later, but otherwise enjoy these equinox energies wherever in the world you find yourself, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.